Hello there, my name is Trini and I work with human design. This video is going to be about projectors and how you guys can best wait for the invitation without feeling so much anxiety. So I'm coming on here actually after a day of sessions, and I've realized that as a generator, one of the things about my creative flow is that it actually always comes up through a response. So it's always through interacting with my clients or interacting with a piece of knowledge for that matter, but in this case it was one of my clients, where I get these big aha moments, where I get kind of these useful downloads related to the human design info or anything else. And so sometimes I wait a long time to maybe I write it down and then I wait to share it. But I've been realizing how I really need to just kind of come on here and share it before it kind of gets lost into everything else that's going on in my head, which is a lot. So I had a projector client today who was, she's recently in the experiment and she's doing a great job. But she expressed how one of the things that was happening to her was that she felt this anxiety over her strategy. The projector's strategy in human design is about waiting for an invitation, waiting to be invited. The way I like to explain it is that what you have to offer, your gifts, your guidance, is so important to the world and so important to the people that actually need it, to the people that are right for you to guide, that they should be looked at as jewels. And so you wouldn't just go off and hand jewels everywhere outwards, because they're worth a lot more than that. And so that's when this strategy comes in, where you really want to be feeling invited, you really want to be feeling recognized, and then that's the space where you are able to then come in and give in your gifts or say something, and it's going to be received well. So this is like a very important part of jumping into the experiment if you're a projector. And so what you're going to see happen is probably what's happening right here with my client, which is that you're going to start observing yourself from the outside and wondering, when am I being invited? What does this look like? What does this feel like? And it's good that you are, questioning that. But what I don't want to happen to you is that it's limiting you. It's limiting you in your conversations. You're feeling like you're just always in your head trying to be like, is this person inviting me? Is this a good moment to speak? And it comes with a little bit of like being afraid of that. Now you know you're a projector. If you speak in the wrong time, it's going to kind of come back and slap you back in the face. It's going to come slap you back with bitterness. And so you're more wary of that, right? But I don't want it to be for you a point of anxiety, and I don't want it to be a limiting factor. So the first thing I'll say for this is, remember, you don't need to feel that invitation and that recognition for everything, especially if you're already in a conversation. You don't have to be just constantly getting invited to then continue the conversation. The invitation is more for bigger things where you are giving out a lot of yourself, giving out a lot of your gifts. That being said, I do believe that a projector who's in the experiment enough and who is looking at themselves and elevating their consciousness enough, I do believe that their life does become more aligned, and that does look like almost always feeling invited and recognized, or being in that state more of the time, because you're finding the right places where you belong, you're finding the right people who you belong with, and so you go creating that feeling and understanding what it's like to be in the right place at the right time. So the other thing that I said to this person, which I think that is the most important thing when we're thinking about being anxious about being invited, and if you're feeling like you're in your head about the invitation and the strategy, is to really, really realize that human design is about getting out of your head. That human design is a system in which the basis of it all is that we've evolved into these 9-centered beings, and that as 7-centered beings, it was very normal and okay that we were using our minds on everything, and that all of our, or for everything, and that our emphasis in life was about the mind, but once we transitioned into having more centers, including the new center of the self, where direction and love and purpose live, then we need to move out of the mind and into the body, into other areas, into the strategy and authority, right? So what do we need to do? We need to get out of our heads. The whole point of your strategy as a projector is being able to get to a point where you are no longer analyzing in your head while you're talking to someone or while you're in a group of people, and like you're like, should I say this? Should I jump in? Is this a moment or not? You want to kind of let go of that and be so present in the present moment that you're just kind of going with what feels right in the moment. It's like your body is the one that's going to show you through how you feel if that is the correct moment or not. So the least that you're using your mind, the better with this. So that, I think, is the biggest thing for this strategy projector anxiety, is constantly remembering that it's not your mind where you need to be making the decisions. It's actually somewhere in your body. So if you're a splenic projector, for example, then that will be in your spleen, right? Or that connection that you're growing in your experiment to your spleen is what's going to give you information of where you belong, where you need to talk, and when you're not. But the ideal scenario, the scenario after the 7 years of experimentation, or, becoming just a more experimented projector, would be to understand that in an intuitive level and to let your body guide you with that. Now, that being said, of course, like, you've just learned this information, right? Of you're a projector, your information doesn't land well, or your guidance doesn't land well unless it's being invited, and so now you're learning how to go about using your strategy and authority. So obviously there's going to be a transitional part where you're going to be using your mind to figure out. You're going to be observing yourself and analyzing every conversation and situations that you're in, and that's okay. It's good to know that it's a transition and that you need to just stay aware of the mind taking over, and then just that anxiety taking over and being like, but I want to be a correct projector. That's not the attitude you want to have. The attitude you want to have is, okay, I'm digging this projector information, it resonates with me, but let me see what the experiment can do for me. And so I'm going to observe without judgment what happens to me. I'm going to observe what happens when I enter a conversation in this way, where I'm not feeling invited, versus this other way where I am feeling more recognized and seen, and gathering data in that way, because in the end, what this is, it's an experiment for yourself. And even though we have these keynotes and we have these generalizations about types and about, maybe your channels, maybe whatever it is in your design that we can kind of learn about from a textbook, it's going to be like that information only gets to a certain point in usefulness. It's going to come to a point where you experiment enough where you're going to have to find out exactly what it means for yourself, and you're going to find out also what it feels like for yourself, and that's where the real juiciness comes from. So remember, it's not about your mind. Remember to get out of your head when you are in your daily life, because you want to be just experimenting. You want to be making those mistakes even. You want to be feeling that bitterness just so that you can gather more data. All right, so that's what I have today for the anxiety around the projector strategy. I hope it's really useful to you. I've decided I'm going to be putting out a lot more human design information and other type of reflections from my part for free on this channel, and who knows where else. I am looking for other platforms, but that's stuff that I need to figure out. But I am going to be putting donation links under all my videos, and yeah, that's it for now. I'm thinking of other things, but I'll share with you when they become more concrete for me. So if any of my videos or this information is useful to you, then please consider donating. Apart from that, just gonna wish you a really, really good continuation of your human design experiment, and take care.